Today's matchup, Afreeca Freecs, ROX Tigers. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Welcome back, OG and Legion. It's time to dive into our second series of the night. Yes, we do indeed have a follow-up to that telecom war, which KT Rolster just completely brutalized SKT. And so if you're joining us late, you might want to go back and watch that one, unless you're an SKT fan, and kind of avoid that one like the plague. But now we have ROX Tigers versus the Afreeca Freecs coming up. And formerly, this wouldn't have been a key matchup, but now this actually has a very heavy playoff implications in it, as both of these teams have been rising to the top.
All our predictions about ROX Tigers couldn't have been more off base. They have proven themselves to be a contender for top 5. Not cemented, but a contender. One match clear of SK Telecom T1 in the top 5. Then you look at Afreeca. They haven't even played this week. It's their first series after SKT is already done for the week. So in a wonderful spot to join some of these teams at the top of the table. They would love to go to 9-match victories because you're getting to mathematical certainty stage pretty soon, maybe halfway through next week. They will already be guaranteed a playoff spot. Afreeca have been great, but debuts on patch 8.4 aren't always going to be fantastic. ROX Tigers did stumble against MVP, did seem to understand half of the meta, but weren't able to close out games where they were there kind of begging to be won. So we'll see how things go here. It's very hard to get a read on ROX, who struggled with 8.4, and Afreeca, who haven't played it yet.
Yeah, some up and downs there, but Afreeca still got to be feeling pretty good. We're able to take down SK Telecom themselves 2-1 in that victory. We'll see if they can keep charging forward and maybe even try to overtake KT Rolster in that number 2 spot. This will be the first hurdle that they have to jump over to get there. So Afreeca Freecs going to be starting us off over on that blue side, and a bit of a transition yet again going to be coming through. We saw this in game number 1 versus SKT with Kiin in the top lane, but then Mowgli in the jungle, Kuro of course in mid, but aiming as well at ADC.
I mean, we'll be surprised that aiming will retain his spot after some off-the-rift controversy throughout the week, but this is the lineup they've been starting. It allows the experienced players to watch the tendencies and come in. Always been something we've spoken about in the jungle position in this squad-focused play. So we'll have aiming there once again. And Mowgli, like you say, who had a pretty decent series, you'd have to think, in his last one out against SKT. So they're going with what's working. I think this is a very useful strategy preparing for best of 5s. And Afreeca Freecs are knocking on the door of the best of 5 stage. Finish in 3rd or higher, and you're guaranteed at least one.
So Afreeca, they certainly are thirsty for that, and looks very likely that they are at least going to be sealed into that 3rd place spot, getting overtaken. Just doesn't seem like it's going to happen for these guys.
It would have to start today, you'd have to think.
Yes, so it would have to be a pretty shattering win by the hands of the ROX Tigers here in order to potentially knock them out of that spot. Of course, no real changes over on this side of things. We're still going to be having Lindarang, SeongHwan, no Mighty Bear to be seen, no KUZan in the mid lane.
If you're thinking about putting KUZan on a milk bottle, we have seen him around the studios.
He's not missing.
His last performance, feeding on the karma. It's not going to be one that's going to get him back into the lineup. They seem to also want to play him with Mighty Bear, and Mighty Bear has not been able to replicate what SeongHwan has been doing very reliably in the jungle. So that configuration not working. ROX Tigers on 8.4 not working either. Time for a change, and it needs to happen tonight.
See what these guys can piece together. Lava, of course, likely going to be looking for that Taliyah in the mid lane. Kuro, also very happy to pick that one up for himself, should it come down to it. But see here, match scores on both sides, very good for the ROX Tigers, much better than we had anticipated. A couple of blemishes there for the Afreeca Freecs. The 0-2 to Jinair, definitely the biggest one.
And ROX Tigers kind of remind me of Samsung a couple of years ago, where you could kind of put a dividing line on teams they would beat comfortably and on teams they would lose to comfortably. And Afreeca's recent surge suggests this will be an uphill battle for them. Are they good enough, man for man, to take down an Afreeca Freecs lineup that's been in great form? Aiming and Mowgli are smaller sample sizes, but TusiN is still joint MVP leader in the league. Kiin has been much better than expected, and I had high expectations for him. I think Kiin was a fabulous talent in the second round robin on Ever 8 Winners, obviously in a struggling team. He has come in with a very difficult brief of replacing Marin and done a very good job. And historically, at the start of 2017, because we don't talk about 2016 ROX Tigers, too many tears if you do that, Afreeca Freecs have been ahead. One blemish, second round robin of spring last year.
Yeah, lots of differences when it comes down to 2016 for both of these teams. Certain player out of that mid lane missing from the Afreeca Freecs lineup. He's somewhere in North America.
And it is Kuro against his old team, we should say, as Kuro was, of course.
This is true.
One of those Fab Five on the ROX Tigers. Kuro has had a majestic season of his own.
And that's why he's our key player.
I didn't actually know this. We didn't have a rehearsal of this spring, but man, I'm good sometimes.
I was ready for it. I guarantee it's going to be good.
Double MVP against the ROX Tigers. His Galio takedown by the Corki and the Azir. And his Azir that no longer is an ironic champion for him. It's been good performances upon good performances for the Azir.
Yeah.
It's been a great season for Kuro, a player that I personally have underrated in the past. He's showing that, you know, sometimes you have to eat your words. He's been great in 2018.
He really has been. And, you know, able to take down FLICKR as well just last week. I do believe last Thursday, maybe even a week ago today. I think it was when they faced off against SK Telecom. So Kuro really has been stepping up to the plate. Doesn't want to be that player forever living in the shadow of FLICKR. He's kind of making his own shadow at this point.
So this is a really interesting stat. What you should take from this, if the ROX Tigers don't play bottom side, they look for ganks for Lindarang from SeongHwan rather than going for Drakes. This is actually true of them in the past. Whenever Lindarang and SeongHwan have played, they've largely played around the top side, or at least away from the Drake as an objective. Whereas Afreeca are confirmed killers of objectives. We get now a newly hyped mid lane matchup. Lava has been one of our rising stars in the mid lane. Kuro is an old hand, but an improving one day on day. And the Azir is certainly going to be a contested pick. We all remember Echo's, Lava's Echo, not Echo's Lava. Big pick for him. The Taliyah going to be a contested one between the two.
I mean, it's just been a huge shoot up there for Lava. I mean, like a rocket up the standings. Absolute crazy performances from these guys. And, you know, again, we kind of talk about this quite a bit, how poorly we thought ROX Tigers were going to do at the beginning of the split as we were getting ready. Just looking at the rosters, you predicted them for you know, one of the bottom two teams in the league, and something has happened. These guys, their cohesion is on point. Lava has been destroying in the mid lane especially, and they really have earned the spot that they have found here in the LCK. That hasn't been them getting by with really cheap plays or anything like that. Like, they've been playing cleanly, they've been finding these victories, and they've been earning every single one.
I mean, on paper, they had the weakest top side of the map in the league, and they've turned that into a source of strength with Lava leveling up in a way no one could have seen coming. And the potential of Lindarang and SeongHwan that was diagnosed by the Afreeca Freecs years ago, finally coming and actually being a source of strength. It's a bit of regional banter, a top 5 clash. Afreeca Freecs and ROX Tigers. ROX wanting to miss out on a 0-2 this week. Afreeca Freecs, they don't see Spirit in the jungle. It was actually his Olaf a year ago in spring season that was his trademark champion, bringing that one back from Europe.
It was always banned away from him, but we'll still see it banned away here by the Afreeca Freecs, taking that off the board here for SeongHwan. And then we'll be seeing that GP as well taken off the board. So two of our players that have had some issues off the rift here on either side.
Azir is going to be taken off very early as well by the side of Afreeca Freecs. Don't want to allow that one to be left open for a first round on the red side. And you do see the Gangplank and the Galio bans. No Galio this game. It's been a big pick for both Kuro and Lava. Bit of overlapping champion pools, always fun to see. When we hit the rift, the AD carry pool though at full strength. So we are likely to see a Varus running around the rift in this particular game.
So the Varus come through as the Rise is banned away. Taliyah still on the board. A heavily contested pick by either of these mid laners. Not sure if it would be first pick worthy though for the Afreeca Freecs.
With so many AD carries up, you know, there is always going to be the Caitlyn if you're not feeling comfortable with a Varus matchup. So Varus could be prized. Sejuani also one of the power picks in the jungle available. Mowgli this season, just Zac and Sejuani, so been on tanks himself. When you look at the pinch, it's kind of everywhere except AD carries. So you be surprised to see a first pick AD carry unless they really want to go for the Varus. Aiming's Kalista a bit of a thing of the past. Waiting on this decision by Afreeca.
Running down the clock, and it's just going to be a Sion first lock-in.
Now, you say flex pick, but Kuro was the first player to play mid lane Sion just after his rework on the ROX Tigers in 2015. Mentioned that match. It's a spring season one before I came over to the LCK. So the red side Sion is frustrating. The blue side Sion still frustrating. And ROX Tigers will probably have to leave a solo lane open for last pick. So maybe you just first rotating about as strong a blind pick support you can take here is probably going to be recommended, because you're not going to be able to counter pick support when you're dealing with this annoying Sion flex.
2015 would be the Coup Tigers, Papa Smithy, not
You're
the
right.
ROX Tigers.
Look at you. You've been...
You're supposed to be the historian here.
Well, I mean, close that tab you have open there that you were checking, Kilios.
Oh, LCK1.
Whatever you say. But over the side of Afreeca Freecs.
I was at Worlds that year. I remember.
Were you? I didn't see you on the broadcast.
I wasn't on the broadcast. But I was on stage at one point. That was.
You know what is also going to be on stage? Xayah Rakan is going to be left open for the Afreeca Freecs. The lovers duo. Different lovers, though. I'm sure Kramer's at the back. It's Kramer Day today.
It is Kramer Day
He's going to have to deal with TusiN two-timing him with the Xayah Rakan. That's just not right.
What a heartbreaker. Well, feels bad for him, but maybe Kramer will get to come out here as well and
I think you
join
need
in.
to take support first round. Like I mentioned, they will do so. So jungle ban's probably going to come the way of Mowgli. Mowgli doesn't have the champion Ocean that Spirit did. So the Rek'Sai is one of the fallbacks you think of him. Outside chance of coming out in pro play. You look at solo queue. We already mentioned the Zac is a big pick for him in and out of solo queue. So might actually consider a Zac ban here if I am the ROX Tigers. And I think Jarvan Zac is going to be the red side bans.
So far, just that one banned away. Afreeca. We'll see where they want to go ahead and steer their focus, maybe towards the top side of the map. Not sure where that Sion's going yet.
And ROX Tigers will desperately want to find out, so they'll have to pick a solo lane of some sort on the red side.
Well, another flex ban here.
You just ban the Trundle as well and say, yes, definitely top lane. Wait and see. Kiin has played a lot of top lane Sion, so you would understand that is going to be the expectation first and foremost, that was hard to say, for the side of ROX Tigers, but who knows? We'll wait and see. Let's see if the Zac is the second ban by ROX.
Yep.
Trying to get safety for the Varus. Not as much backline threat when Jarvan and Zac are off the board.
And the Olaf.
Yeah, the Olaf, but that's a little bit different. That's a front door threat almost.
Yeah.
Final ban here. Do they straddle the line and ban a mid laner? You could definitely see something like a Taliyah just be played by ROX and say, well, even if it is Sion, we'll just try to wave clear and disengage. Poke damage with the larger hitbox on the E is massive as Afreeca wait a long time and then ban away the Vladimir. Kha'Zix favorite there, not so much Lava Comfort.
I wonder when if we will see Kha'Zix make a bit of a return. Maybe when Lissandra gets buffed up or LeBlanc.
Hey, Lissandra rework coming in the future, and the LeBlanc, I guess Reaver is coming, and yep, just Taliyah and work it out is the choice by ROX Tigers. Gonna take a lot of damage from the Emax and the Comet, though. Very squishy is the Taliyah, second Taliyah of the night, so from Yukal in our first series.
Would love to see some situation where we hear the roar come out of the Sion, starts the charge, and the Weaver's Wall just intercepts him and saves somebody's life.
We did see the friendly Weaver's Wall intercept the SeongHwan ultimate there. That was frustrating for the side of Jin'e to deal with. Waiting for Afreeca, they finally have to show what's going on from the mid lane and top lane. The Sion flex pick has to end. I saw Kuro shake his head, so they clearly are deep in thought about what they want to draft here and which role it'll be in. Kiin has previously been the Sion top lane player. Wait for the final second.
Oh,
and it will be a Kassadin, so they do get a counter pick. They're able to bring out the Kassadin, a favorite of FLICKR in the spring season here, and an old favorite of Kuro. It's going to be an element of risk to this pick. They are against Varus, a strong laner, and the Taliyah also will shove in, but post 6, a lot of good news stories for the Kassadin against the Taliyahs. Are we getting real spicy?
Oh, maybe we are. The Fiora hover through here for Lindarang in that top lane.
The hover's over. It's a lock now. It's going to be Fiora into Sion. Sion, the tankiest of the potato tanks. It's going to take a long time for the Fiora to actually work her way through all the shields, and he can ult away if she's not already closed the distance. But Lindarang's Fiora is what we see. He's had a lot of value on the carry picks earlier in the season, but with the Camille gone, goes the way of the Fiora. Gonna be fun to watch.
Certainly is. And it's going to be a really big struggle, you would expect, for Kiin to actually land that ulti into the stun with a riposte available for that Fiora. Maybe try to bait that one out and then get the lockdown.
I'm a bit worried for the Fiora here, because if she falls behind, she's going to have to deal with mixed damages. Kassadin can side lane very powerfully. The Sion will be unkillable. It's weird because the earlier drafts from ROX are very much about the team fight, and then they kind of abandoned that and said, let's go for this matchup to try and punish the Sion. Punishing the Sion is really, really tricky to do, so ROX to index on a top lane pick that sometimes requires more resources than it can pay off. Cool to see Lindarang on a true carry, though. Every time we see this, we smile and say, give it your best shot.
Yep, Fiora coming through, and then the Kassadin as well in the mid lane for Kuro. Going back to an older one, so interesting to see how this one's going to play out. Goes into the Taliyah. Lava has been playing that one extremely well, very clean, I guess, is the best way I can describe it, with his Taliyah play, with those Weaver's Walls, denying objectives away from the enemy teams. We'll see if he can do that here with a Kassadin who can just hop over to the other side.
Yeah, bot lane gets ahead, the Taliyah can get rolling, an objective game can happen. If it doesn't, could be tricky for ROX.
Well, TusiN yet again going to be looking to take sole possession of that first place MVP spot. We'll see if he can do it. We'll see if Afreeca can get the wins, or if ROX Tigers are going to upset our third place team. Let's go on to the Rift for game number 1.
생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
That was a mixed cheer, but
somebody just opened their mouth and sound came out.
I think it was Lava fighting, but was in the middle of ROX fighting.
Maybe that's what it was. It definitely was just a noise, and now we're gonna have a pause. Oh boy.
We got booze, so we know the fans didn't hear that. We know the players didn't hear that and want to wonder what the fans were saying. Seems to be in the Afreeca booth. Seems like aiming seems a little bit unsure.
Oh, it's actually going to be Kiin who's having a bit of a keyboard issue, it would seem.
Interesting.
See if we can get this squared away swiftly here. So
I like that we've codified
it.
between both broadcasters that issue is the word we have to add on to everything.
Yep. It's always just an issue. It's not a problem.
It's an issue.
Yep. It's not a conundrum.
Sometimes I got an Achilles issue. Hard to resolve unless it's a different day of the week.
I see.
I'm not saying today, I'm saying sometimes.
Okay.
There is Kiin on your screen, back on the Sion top, which means no comments, just glacial augments, just slows galore. Fun times. In store for this game, as we do get to see, again, our last team on patch 8.4.
I like the duct tape over the logo on the headset. Can't possibly tell what kind of headset it is.
I think this girl is saying she loves Kuro, and this dude is not a big, you know.
She's like, Kuro, I wish this was you.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
wow.
That's what
okay.
I actually took it to mean.
Yeah, so Joel just confirmed for us that she likes Kuro more than her husband, who is sitting next to her.
See, I knew she liked the person next to her less than Kuro, but I didn't know it was her husband, which makes it much funnier.
That's brutal, man.
Hey, a bucket list, you know? What can you say?
That's what prenups are for.
Whoa. You took this way too real, Achilles.
Oh, dear. Well, nice and standard start. I wish them the best. Nice and standard start in the jungle for both sides here.
As Mowgli's going to be on the Kha'Zix, which is a fun one to see. No Galio Kha'Zix. The Sion isn't in the mid lane to back up the Kha'Zix, and I wonder if this will be Mowgli, who's largely been a bit of a herbivore killer. He hasn't been one of our big carry junglers. Kind of testing the theory I had where the safest way to play is in the enemy's face with a skirmishing advantage. Why not go Kha'Zix into the Sejuani? We'll see if the playstyle does confirm that. Mid lane's going to have no fun because is Kassadin always the way in the early game.
He's just going to be throwing out those null spheres, getting that slight little shield, and well, nothing's really going to happen until we see a Sheen in a level 6 come through.
And it's a bit of an interesting choice, because consider that the rune he took was not Comet, that we almost always see for lane control. Losing lane, but lane control as much as you can. He's actually gone for the Unsealed Spellbook to potentially just decrease the timer of his cooldowns rather than necessarily change too much. You would have started Ignite if you were to get particularly frisky, so you would imagine Teleport would be there for the mid game. So to me, it's mostly for the CDR rather than any other reason.
SeongHwan going a bit low. Will be fine at the end. As Mowgli starts progressing through, we'll see if we get any early visitations to that top side. Lindarang hasn't thrown down any wards yet. And he is going for quite a bit of a sustain here. 3 potions.
Kiin has the generous hitbox on the Roar of the Slayer on patch 8.4. Sion was my freelo champion, but now everyone plays him and can't get him ever again.
Yeah.
That's
how it was for me when Kleptomancy and everything started for Ezreal.
I told the OGen Legion just to play. They asked what should I play for gaining elo, and I told them Sion a month ago. I was proven right.
Right now, my go-to is Tristana, just regardless of what the matchup is.
I see that you're about exploiting strong champions.
She just got nerfed, you know. That ulti cooldown getting increased. TusiN to go in, doesn't get the knock-up, and actually takes a hell of a lot of damage to the exchange, but Aiming is able to answer back there onto Sangyoon.
Was a very poor trade by TusiN. Just misjudged and then stayed too long, so just kind of stood to attention for all the damage going on. As Afreeca looking for a turret dive. This seems very reminiscent of what the Camille from KSV, Cuvée, was feeling in the top lane. No Galio to pile on. Sion's annoying enough.
Be fine for now, though. Lindarang not going to get dove on, as we just see Mowgli go back to base.
Kuro staying competitive in CS. He has the minion dematerializer. He can go for early shots, but hasn't been forced into a quick teleport. So, in general, laning phase going just fine. Lava is going to be going with the same build we saw, going for the tier onto the Taliyah. Just to repeat the point, big thing about tier is it builds very efficiently going from the tier into the Lost Chapter when you're building that Archangel. So it's a very nice natural build, because a lot of builds now struggle early because you don't want to spend 1100 gold on your first back. Hard to farm. Victor can confirm that. See SeongHwan on the top side, but always optimistic, trying to kill a Sion.
Hovering around, I'll go ahead and push forward.
They're not even getting a splash.
Can't get the weak point. Yeah, Kiin's just going to go ahead and walk back. Go ahead and stun me. I'm just ready to catch the wave anyway. Decimating Smash will be there. TusiN keeps trying to get those nice little entrances, but the Devour from Key, always there to deny.
Yeah, a lot of options for Rakan at level 6 when he has the extra CC of the quickness, but before the quickness is there, it's going to be obviously a lot more linear gameplay available for Key. So yeah, tier into Lost Chapter, the new I want to shop before 1100 gold. One of the reasons we're not seeing so much of the Ludens in pro play right now, and then the other factor that I mentioned in Game 1, if you missed it, is there's less incidental health in builds with less Leandries overall, given the change in the item. So having the shield is actually very relevant for these mid laners who are finally remembering that they're actually very squishy compared to other meta builds.
Just going to be slow and steady as TusiN tries yet again. Dashes his way back. One of these times, I'll be able to get that knock up.
And slow and steady is usually a word we associate with kind of win conditions. And when it comes to scaling, kind of have to like what Afreeca has going on.
Yeah.
That's awkward when they're against the ROX Tigers comp here, because to me, they're very much about turning on one item. When the Rageblade is there for Sangyoon, finding a way to have the Taliyah play bot side. This is the sort of game where you want double control ward on the bot side to increase the pace of the game. In the late game, there is the hope that 6-item Fiora can beat 6-item Sion, but it very rarely gets that far, and honestly, the Sion is about as robust as any tank at enduring that, and the Kassadin feels like he'll just get, at the same time, 6 items and just take over both the side lane and the team's fight. So because they have the ability to play side lanes with both the Kassadin and the Sion, I do believe that Afreeca just in general has more options than ROX.
Well, things going very well here for Kuro thus far. Keeping even in CS. He's got the Megatron cloak ready to go. Now goes in for a bit of a trade. Gets pushed back by that seismic shove. In the meantime, massive burst of damage there on the Sangyoon. The heal will get used as he's devoured. And he will stay alive. No flash blown, but that's going to be sending him back to base.
Surprising burst there even for Sangyoon, used the heal in the belly of the Tahm Kench just to ensure his life. For even in CS, in a tricky matchup, it's going to be one that can only loom very, very worryingly for the side of ROX Tigers. We'll see if he actually goes for the rush on the Abyssal Mask. We've seen Pawn in the past on champions like Veigar with a weak laning phase just go Negatron into situational, so it doesn't necessarily force him to go, but it does suggest that Rod of Age is unlikely to come out because already so much gold was invested away from it. Will delay the power spike. Faker's the only player I can remember to go second item Rod of Ages, or to delay his Rod of Ages till about a 16 to 18 minute mark. Afreeca going to be comfortable as the game goes on. The blue buff goes over, and nothing to write home about. Suits Afreeca Freecs just fine.
Plenty of spam that can come out as Kuro goes back to base. He's got the TP if he wants to pop it. Otherwise, he can just use the Rift Walk to get himself back there fairly quickly.
Minion?
Where?
Above the turret.
Oh, it looks like it.
It could also be a visual bug.
I believe... I hope that it is.
We're not 100% sure, guys.
We don't have a pause, so I think that maybe we would have one if that was going to be the case. So it might just be a visual
Sion!
bug.
That's not the Sion bug we were thinking of.
I'm going to guess that he maybe pushed a minion back with a roar, and then it died, and then just got stuck in the turret somehow. Happy little accidents.
That will definitely make the Sion haters once again roar out that perhaps Sion should have had a hotfix on this patch.
So broken that he breaks the game itself.
He's pretty broken. If we're going to be real, if you can be played in 3 roles,
oh, Mowgli.
do well in all of them,
That was
it's pretty
cheeky.
broken.
Takes away the Scuttle Crab just with the Void Spikes. Nice little steal by him.
Whenever we have one of these games with Xayah Rakan, we talk about the power of 2 and 3 items, depending on how fast the completion is on the Zeke's convergence. 3 items is gravy. And I think at 3 items, Kuro will be closer and closer to level 16, and then how do ROX answer? They can't really team fight because the Fiora doesn't have a role in a team fight. We're going to be very much inspecting the first item purchase from Sangyoon and whether they can turn the Rage Blade into turrets, because if we're just farming with this comp, there's a problem.
You can see Lindarang already having quite the trouble with that Sion there in the top lane. Down 20 CS. Rebel Vest goes a decent way as far as out trading. Mowgli's going to roam over. We'll spot out this Infernal Drake take. Down to half HP. Do they want to contest this? The roam's coming through here from Kuro. TusiN now pushing in, gets the grand entrance, looks to pop up 2 of them, and they have to go ahead and peel back. Dragon's still going to be leashed, but now they turn in looking for the Kha'Zix. He is going to get popped. Actually, no! Manages to make it out with his life, and it's going to be First Blood going over to aiming as he takes down SeongHwan. Dragon will leash back into the pit, and several members of Afreeca are down to half HP, so they will kite their way out of here. But they might have prevented that Infernal Drake from going down.
Lives on a sliver. I'm not even sure Mowgli can actually take these Krugs.
Get out of there, man!
He's already used his smite. If he dies during the replay, that'll be awkward. It's a very nice engage from TusiN. Well, this was the moment. It felt like the pivotal moment in the game because Afreeca aren't quite online. ROX don't have their 1 items either, but you think if this is where ROX Tigers get that extra gold to zoom forward, perhaps that's actually going to hold down the eventual advance of Afreeca. It doesn't happen. There's no punishment. And Afreeca just end up getting the 1 for 0, and Mowgli exiting on a sliver.
Yeah, did make it out with his life, and we just heard Kiin coming off the back of that replay using the ultimate to just go ahead and charge back into lane.
One day we'll see the roam mid lane from the top, but sadly it's all about the Sion heading top lane. Kiin's a hater on the Mecha Sion. He's into being a lumberjack.
Miss the old Sion voiceover.
The very blatant Arnold Schwarzenegger ripoff.
Yeah, you know. I don't remember. Maybe he did. I don't remember Arnold Schwarzenegger saying "Don't be such a bonehead" in any of his films, but I'm sure it could have happened.
This particular game, Kuro has gone for the not interested in your Taliyah damage build and just rushed the Abyssal Mask. Not a lot of synergy with his team. It's his Kha'Zix.
Yep, jumps in. Lava gonna get chunked down. Half HP.
Not usually a big fan of Abyssal Mask when you have no secondary threat outside some roars from the Sion. But it's a lot about surviving lane. Does give him great lane presence early as he scales into his first true damage item. No tier, so the tier cast in the Dade was a huge fan of way back when, with almost infinite scaling won't be happening. Could be a second item, but I thought maybe Archangels would see its business.
Oh, SeongHwan
Nice!
goes in, dashes in with the Arcane Assault, and just goes ahead and smites that one away. Great steal Just keep ROX a bit closer in this game where they're down by nearly 1,000 gold.
Seemed too easy as well. Came in, didn't have to use flash. There was no other people holding down the
no
duo.
kill.
It seemed predictable too.
Thank you very much.
We watched the replay. SeongHwan just walks over control vision. He knows that the bot lane is not going to rotate first. And cool as you like, takes away an Infernal.
Nicely done.
Against the balance of play as well. This is when Afreeca had finally taken control of the game. He'd already suffered a death, but his flash was up. He felt strong enough to contest. Clean stuff from the Sejuani.
Yeah. A nice little breath of fresh air for the ROX Tigers. So they keep themselves a bit more competitive here in the game. We'll see if they can get anything off the back of that. Keep progressing with the objectives.
Kiin has the Kha'Zix special going on here. Got the Bramble Vest, got the Ninja Tabi, being a full jerk. No Sunfire Cape in the LCK, but
I don't know what that is.
it's basically a solo queue top laner who complained about Sunfire, Bramble Vest, and Ninja Tabi shutting down every carry.
Ah.
We don't get the Sunfire, we get the rest. And it means that Lindarang will just do no damage at all to Sion. Not even a little bit.
I don't watch many streamers, so sometimes I'm out of the loop.
He's kind of been a high elo player since Season 1, basically, so he's just one of those names, always been around.
Okay.
But a big voice in the top lane needs help side of things. Let's not talk about him anymore.
That's fine with me.
This
I have
game
nothing to
instead-
contribute to the conversation, so it's basically you talking about him.
I feel that happens from time to time here.
Well, it happens as well. If I want to talk about movies, you never know what the hell to say.
Hey.
Other than I haven't seen that.
Hugo is my favorite Spielberg film.
I was so tilted when you said that yesterday. Martin Scorsese would be turning in his grave if he was dead. Fortunately, he's alive.
That was a really weird turn of phrase.
Well, whatever. It's a good movie, though. I can agree with you on that.
Watching Kuro, he's level 11, and we're going to start going all in here.
Here comes the charge or post there onto the stomach. Kuro comes around from the side. Lindarang going to flash away. Stunk down to about half HP, and they're going to go in underneath the
tank.
turret for this one. Jumps in. The Kha'Zix is there to finish him off with the burst damage, and Kuro will be walking away with his life.
You never expect the 14-minute turret dive by a Kassadin taking turret aggro. We're seeing who's teleporting mid. First it's going to be Sion.
Seismic Shove comes through. Grand entrance out there from TusiN. They're going to go ahead and dodge out on the Sejuani. Kiin nearly falls, as does TusiN. The tongue lash flash forward there from Kiin. Does finish him off in the end as aiming goes up with the Featherstorm, but a bit of a misfire there. Shoots it to the side and will not be
First
able to
brick.
clear out the wave. It's going to be the first brick going over to the ROX Tigers. They win out in the end. Mowgli by himself, not able to finish it off in time.
Trying to play too many lanes at once as Afreeca. They really didn't want to give up first pick. They do anyway. The chase power, the damage is not there yet from Kuro. Optimistic double teleport. Eventually is thwarted. So nice play from ROX. Roll down a single lane. They got Pixie's here plenty. That was far too risky for Afreeca to try to pull off.
Yeah, a bit clownish there around the mid lane. ROX going to be pretty happy with the outcome, keeping things nice and tight-knit. 400 gold down with that Infernal Drake. So making up for some of that with that 8%. But Mowgli, he's still pushing forward. He still wants to keep advancing the pace here for the Afreeca Freecs as he starts up the Rift Herald. But seems like he's going to say screw it.
He's just got
I'm done.
no coverage at all. Lindarang was walking out of vision. The Taliyah was coming from base. Too squishy, and with Kassadin choosing then to recall, you can see there's a bit of a disconnect. Probably should have been the instant disengage from the objective, but Kha'Zix stayed on it a little bit longer and gives up a bit of health from the trade. Equal CS numbers between SeongHwan and Mowgli. Looms well for the Sejuani. Time to start going. This is when I think ROX categorically stronger than the Afreeca Freecs in the 4v4. If Sion's there, things complicate, because Sion already is a monster. But in the 4v4, it's a Sheen for damage from the Kassadin. It's Essence Reaver from the Xayah. They're still building when it comes to the damage, whereas ROX has much stronger one-item pickups, and that means that ROX should really focus on this Mountain Drake as the next safe objective for them to pick up.
Mowgli pushing forward there, wants to clear out that control ward. Can't push into SeongHwan. The lockdown, the stun into the potential Seismic Shove is just too much of a threat. Meantime, Kiin trying to take away that Skull Crab. Will be able to do so, but the double pop-up comes in. Weaver's Wall comes through, but it's not enough to lock them away, and they might just be able to finish off the Tahm Kench. Big knock-up comes in as TusiN nearly goes down. Connection there from the Sejuani onto Mowgli. Takes him down to about half HP, but he makes it out with his life. Tahm Kench will get picked, but now Lindarang He's got some quality time alone with his turret in the top lane.
Yeah, Kiin roams down, and that means that he's not there to stop this turret going down. Lindarang finding an advantage in his own lane is something that's been impossible this game for how much Kiin is built for lane. Minion wave is dying, so he probably won't be able to claim it now, but damn does he really want it.
Yeah, would love to just stick in there, but knows it. Kiin is working his way back up. He will arrive in time, and he should have the wave clear to go ahead and protect this for at least a little while longer. But now we're going to see a TP coming down here by the Dragon Pit. Invisible Edge coming in, straight in on top of TusiN and aiming. Instant pop-up, but TusiN still might be paying for this one with his Light the Feather Storm. Is good this time around. Triple lockdown. Won't be leading to any kills, but it sure as hell looked cool. But they lose out on TusiN, and aiming loses both of his summoner spells.
He has to use double summoners even though SeongHwan didn't have ultimate. That's a big investment to make the escape, but does keep him alive. ROX are playing when they're strongest. We asked them to really focus on making assertive moves now, and they're doing that. That was a very multi-pronged attack. A teleport into another teleport coming through on the side of Kiin. Felt like pre-rework just fate from beta, basically.
Skipping their way around the map.
With that many levels of TP.
That is going to be another one. Going over to the ROX Tigers. Mountain Drake to back up with the Infernal. And you would have to say they're ahead right now at this point of the game.
And this point, you know, was looking narrow when I was thinking of how long ROX Tigers would be ahead. But it's a super no damage build coming out of Kuro. The Lich Bane scales off AP itself, doesn't have great base values, so it's going to take a third item to come online, and we'll wait and see situationally what Kuro's liking. So he's going to take time. Aiming is also going to take time. Aiming is going to be relied on for the front-end damage, and it's just going to be a bit of assassination and side lane in here from Kuro in the early game. So they're actually giving ROX a bigger invitation to take over the mid-game than I expected, as if Fiora even walks up, I don't know if there'll be enough time for the Kha'Zix to take this. She's backing, so maybe.
Well, Mowgli has the blue buff here. It would seem OG is going to highlight that for us. So Herald is down to about half HP, and Kuro is making sure that Lava is contained there in the mid lane.
He just wants us to despawn.
Love to stop this. Kuro roaming back over. Abyssal Voyage coming in. Rift Herald will be taken and picked up here by the Afreeca Freecs, and now Lindarang has to get out of there. Gets popped up, gets piled on. The Repose comes in. Big seismic shove knocks two in, and Mowgli has to flash away. Kuro manages to get the kill on the Fiora, and now TusiN arrives. Grand entrance, plus the quickness comes through, locks them all up, and Kuro finds a second one. Let's make it a triple kill. 20 minutes into the game, the Baron just spawned, and Afreeca say, hey, you know what? This is right here. Maybe we should just take it.
And it's so important for Kuro, because now he gets to cheat over his slower build and gets 1,000 gold out of nowhere to turn into big items, and they're going to get a Baron start. As if they're getting a Baron claim, as SeongHwan is still alive.
Vision going to be denied. Control ward comes over, as does that chain of corruption. Sangyoon clearing out the vision on the opposite side of the pit. Afreeca will try to deny. 3,000 HP left. SeongHwan, does he want to go for it, or will he abandon the cause is going to be the question. 2,000 piercing arrow is
Sangyoon needs to damage it over the wall. Now they don't have vision.
1,500, it's got to get taken. Smite comes through. SeongHwan, yeah, just too risky. Didn't want to have to sacrifice himself for it. Baron taken right as it spawns by the Afreeca Freecs, who turn it all around right off this play, initiated by the ROX Tigers.
And you thought that perhaps would be the moment for Afreeca to go too far into the things, but ROX start to fight. And when the shove comes, so you first thought is, this is going to be the fight for them. But as you're watching the fight, huge engage from TusiN. He gets all three. Comically massive is the amount of momentum they get from TusiN's chain CC. And while he didn't have the damage, he had the cleanup damage after TusiN first locked them up. And aiming stood and delivered to the rest of the members of ROX.
And Lava flashing and trying to finish off Mowgli. Just set him up to get popped by that grand entrance straight into the quickness. So didn't have that safety. Try to kite his way out of there. Very nice turnaround here by the Afreeca Freecs, finally finding a significant lead. A very early Baron. Won't be able to knock down the turret, however. Just popping the Rift Herald. They do weaken it significantly, but they would like to add some more gold onto this Baron power play if they can.
Do notice the B word can't be talked about. No banner on the side of Afreeca Freecs. So into the combat stats to shut down the Fiora for the Sion, usually the person to pick up an early banner. Sion has the most flexible build path of a tank because he kind of builds his first item, says, what does the team need? Do I need to build a Kindle Gem into a Knight's Vow? Am I building banner? In this case, no banner, and Rakan is one of the few supports that goes for Zeke's Convergence to buff up his AD carries. So for now, no banner, maybe next Baron, but for the first Baron, it's probably not going to be roll down mid lane and get 3 turrets. It's going to have to be some split pushing, as you see on the top side.
I mean, to be fair, there's no reason for them to be building toward it because Afreeca Freecs likely didn't expect to be able to take the Baron at the 20-minute mark, so they weren't anticipating that at all. It was just a very happy circumstance for them in the end. They do finally knock down that turret there in the mid lane. And we're talking about Kuro needing those items to get rolling in order to have that damage output. The Lich Bane's completed. He's 5-0-1, so that has been significantly sped up here for the Kassadin. Kiin just keeps running the Baron-empowered minions into the turret.
So the next item is the Fiendish Codex is sometimes going to say it might just be Zhonya's for I want to dive in and just basically ult a million times frontline Kassadin rather than any true burst damage. Lich Bane very useful in the side lane push, of course. Seeing Kuro push up. For now, just helping out the cannon minion that's not quite abandoned, but doing plenty of work nonetheless.
Just escorting it, letting it do the heavy lifting.
It's a bit of mistaken identity, though. It's not quite the VIP it's been rumored to be.
It's not. It's no Monty. People who missed the first series are going to be confused.
Monty was there.
It's going to be a lot of Monty Bible time, and his son, Monty Jr. was also there.
This game gone for bad to us for ROX. They were in a position where they made a very nice move bot lane with a double TP play from the Abyssal Voyage, and it seemed like that would swing it open. But suddenly, I think everything's perfect for Afreeca. The moment that you see a lane assignment of Varus answering a Kassadin in the side lane, things are bad. That is not ideal at all. And Kassadin is only a level away from level 16, where you can go Rambo. Kuro has followed the FLICKR playbook and not gone for the precision tree presence of mind. Has gone sorcery, probably going to be gathering storm there, I would guess.
Mowgli fighting over some vision here. Will get slowed up, but be able to get the control ward in the end, which is what he really wanted. Doesn't care much if his own ward gets taken out. As the rest of Afreeca starts posturing up here underneath this turret. They knock it down to about half HP. Aiming, trying to stay safe in the back line, and that was a really short little skip there by Kiin, basically.
Yeah, he sounded like he was very upset about his order at a restaurant rather than actually doing anything else.
Well, that's going to be a lockout coming through on Kuro, but he's going to go golden. Ult whips straight through him, and he will just go ahead and casually
That was a
ult over the wall.
high-value stopwatch right there. It is going to be Zhonya's as the next pickup from Kuro, all about the backline dive. To me, Kuro this game is not going to get caught, you would imagine.
So what are you about to say now?
I was awkward, but Kuro this game, if I'm going to liken him to another champion when it comes to team fights, he's kind of Olaf here. Kind of wants to run at Varus, open up a couple of times, Zhonya's to remove aggro, and then Rift walk out.
Speaking of which, it's done now.
We've said that Olaf into Varus is another reason why Olaf is very popular, is the ability to shut down. The stopwatch just used, but he has another stasis effect done.
I was going to say,
for the
it's actually
Zhonya's.
way more value than you would have anticipated, because now he's not just taking up an item slot with that broken stopwatch.
And neither Taliyah nor the Varus can ignore a round of damage, and probably a second Rift Walk before the Zhonya's comes in. So his job is more about occupying space than necessarily most traditional Kassadin builds are set up for.
Kuro in a very nice spot.
I mean, we're also an Infinity Edge completion short of aiming his numbers, and this is kind of the lose-lose time for ROX, where very, very difficult to make anything happen on the map. This man doesn't take any damage, so Fiora is frustrated with that particular lane. The enemy Xayah is about to do amazing damage, buffed up by the Zeke's convergence, and Kassadin out of nowhere has 5 kills. So things are in general disarray inside of ROX. See the walk up here. Second Baron would be the one to ice the game. Still not going to be no banner for that one, though, Achilles. We are 26 minutes in, but seems like TusiN is inching together his second Aegis into the banner.
Kiin just going to be clearing this one out. For now, just doing what a Sion does until he needs to call upon that ultimate to try to take somebody down. Just slower play for now around the rift by the Afreeca Freecs, as they wait for this Baron to spawn in about 38 seconds.
Slow and steady wins the race when you go for the Kassadin. Kassadin himself isn't interested in making those TP plays. He's gone over to Ignite in the late game, Achilles. saying who's going to enter lane against
Dark
me.
Boy. Oh boy, here comes the pop-up. Kiin gets the devour, tries to keep him alive, will flash away and get the spit out there for Sangyoon. As Mowgli leaps to the side to keep himself safe, he takes that piercing arrow to the face.
They're
He's
waiting
down
for
to half
this
HP.
ult to actually time out. It stopped them from playing as 5, so good use of the Weaver's Wall by Lava. But defensive Weaver's Wall is still pretty happy news for Afreeca. They push up in top side. All summoners left open. Lich Bane is finally starting to be amped by a bit of ability power.
Goes ahead. We'll finish this off. Well, maybe not. One hit away from taking down that turret. Kuro just basically go ahead, rift walk in there. Auto it once. In the meantime, pressure coming through from TusiN and aiming. Trying to whittle away at this mid turret. Lindarang has roamed up. Hovering right now between mid and bot for this finish off that tower, and the Baron has now respawned.
Baron respawn is why, in general, they've been fairly respectful at closing off these inner turrets. They know they're in a position to close the game. They can pick up this second Baron. You see the back off. Needless a large rod finally picked up first of the game at 28 minutes in for Kuro. Damage and tankiness now. The line being straddled a little bit more cleaner than 10 minutes ago. He picked up a very fortunate, opportunistic triple kill. Aiming's items are ready to go as well, and he's also an item lead over Varus, who has the cheaper build, and that's another problem that ROX Tigers have to deal with. Fiora into Sion. Not a huge fan of Kilios. Sion is just so robust that it's hard to make things happen.
Yeah, pretty much. But, well, that's going to be the engage coming through here from TusiN. He wants to make something happen. Someone will go ahead and flash away, but Kuro is just chasing in so deep, and they will be able to finish him off as everybody just flashes over into the red pit. Lava as well taken down as aiming finds a double kill. And I think Afreeca Freecs, in addition to that, will find themselves a Baron again.
They're going to fall back to it. No smite available for SeongHwan. Jump into the pit. They take the second Baron. Banner close to completion. Looking to break the base on this second Baron, and predictably Lindarang. Nothing the poor Fiora can do.
Not a damn thing indeed. He's at least gotten a CS lead, but that's about as good as it gets. The BF Sword not going to be doing very much against that Sion. He's got the Warmogs and the Thornmail, the Frozen Heart just for good measure. Afreeca Freecs with a second Baron here, under 30 minutes. They could be pushing all the way in, looking for inhibitors at this point.
Slowly, slowly. Worth noting that because Kassadin is the mid laner, there is only one range champion on the team. A true range champion, Rakan, with the short-ranged auto. So turret sieging, not really their playbook. Kuro has already shown he's happy to turret dive, and they outside chance that if Kiin is doing the tanking, they will make that work.
Oh, that was very nice of Mowgli. Allowed for TusiN to get the final blow on the Scuttle Crab.
And there's the Banner ready to go. Banner of command from TusiN.
That's why he's like, I need this gold so I can finish it off.
Up to the top side, Mowgli. Gonna join Kuro. Not spotted in vision. Now they have a good idea though. ROX, what's going on is aiming. Had the QSS, but doesn't need to use it.
The aiming was bad from Sangyoon is what it was. Didn't find that Chain of Corruption to lock down the Xayah. Featherstorm also available, so.
There's the Bannon. We're gonna name this one Marin.
Okay.
Marin pushing through the mid lane. Clunk goes the shot.
Yep. Marin doesn't need to use his TP, still takes out the turret.
Hey, Keys actually just kidnapped him.
He does. They will be able to kill Marin. Send him back to China. It's just a short little visitation back over here to Korea.
To get the last inner turret in the mid lane. It's still the one in the bot lane. It's not the last of all the inner turrets, but they're pushing forward. They won't have the Banner with this push, but the next wave they will have Banner up again. I think longer Banner cooldown is something to be considered. Even after the change that comes on 8.5, they push in, they want it, it's dive!
Going in, but he's not going to find the pop-up, but he does have the quickness, and they lock down Sangyoon, immediately deleted from the fight. Now Lindarang has to go ahead and flash away, barely any HP left, but the Guardian Angel's still available, but he does not want to take the fight. He knows that he would lose and needs to try to stick around to defend the rest of this base. It's not going to be much left of it, it would seem, though. After this push here from the Afreeca Freecs, 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. Afreeca just tanking up the turret here for now.
Damage? The answer is no.
Yeah, not at all. It's got the shields coming through. Few Baron Empowered minions yet again. They dash forward looking for SeongHwan. Get the root. Goes down to about half HP and the turret will fall as Afreeca seeks to take a second inhibitor. It just seems like there's nothing ROX can do to stop them.
And this would mean ROX going 3 games in a row down after the patch change. Really wasn't a fan of the Fiora, as we mentioned earlier, and has been able to do precisely nothing in the game. They break the base on the top side. They go back. Now there's also even more tankiness on the side of Kiin.
Let's just get a Gargoyle Stone Plate for the hell of it.
Just rude. He's so damn tanky. His extra health, 1,000 extra health.
Seems good.
Does have lower health scaling, but if you're a pro player and can take full advantage out of last hitting, then you do end up getting relatively more than perhaps was intended back when the passive was introduced.
I hope he just gets something ridiculous for his 6th item.
What would you like to see, Achilles?
I would like to see something that builds out of a BF sword.
AD Sion, bringing it back in 2018.
Oh yeah.
Never in professional play was the AD Sion, even though that was the intended use of old Sion. Wasn't supposed to be an AP burst house.
I'm telling you, the AP Sion with the original Taric, double targeted stuns, both of them just build full AP. You get those rabbited death caps in, and you just two-shot everybody. It was an insane bot lane back in the day. Low elo hell for sure.
Seeing them push in the Afreeca Freecs. Much they can do. Kench wants to walk up and deal with the minion, but largely it's been answered. 2 inhibitors down. Minion wave pushed out in top side, so it would take a more aggressive dive from Afreeca to actually force something, given that the minions aren't working for them in top.
Between a rock and a hard place.
It's a bit on
And
the
now a
nose.
wall.
A stone wall, no less.
Yeah. A rock wall, perhaps.
Afreeca in no rush. Massive gold lead, about 10,000. Scaling also, the team fighting. There's an advantage in basically all quarters. ROX could have gone for a team fight comp, went for the Fiora, and now team fight in an inferior fashion to Afreeca. Finally pushing up that minion wave in top. Just waiting for TusiN, honestly, to seize the day and make an initiation, because that's going to be the game. There it is!
And there you go. He goes in, gets the pop-up, gets out of there with the quickness as well as Ki falls down to about half HP. Kuro goes golden with his Zonias, keeps himself alive, but is still locked in. He jumps away with the ultimate, manages to stay in here for at least a little bit longer. Won't even finish off the turret, but they do sacrifice Kiin. At the end of the day, he'll get a couple hits in onto the inhibitor, but won't be able to take it down as they lock him up. The third one now exposed, the other two still dead. ROX hold out a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's one able to fight his 5. Kuro very early on the Zonias because he realized there's no ability for aiming to follow, so they ran out of damage in the front line. They get the inhibitor turret, and that was the more tricky objective to actually claim in all of this. May actually require a 3rd Baron after all to close out the game, so being extended in a way that's a little bit disappointing if you're the Afreeca Freecs coach. Regardless, they are still in full control. The comeback is not on yet by the ROX Tigers, but the game is not closed by Afreeca Freecs either.
Yeah, might have been expecting a much faster game given the 20-minute Baron take.
And a change to cleanse, so he's been starting with the teleport into Ignite and now cleanse for, honestly, the CC reduction will be a big thing in team fights. If he gets Sejuani ulted, he can potentially just continue to train down. He got a death cap into a Void Staff as his final items.
Getting humbled a bit here as Mowgli pushes forward into the jungle, trying to clear out some of this vision. Establish some as he very swiftly takes away that red buff and makes it out with his life. Playing a game of inches against that Sejuani.
Kiin walks up. Let's see what Afreeca want to do. They've already tried to make a super decisive dive, but running out of things to dive now that there's only Nexus turrets left on the Rift. The Baron control is still pretty clear. They don't have a control ward on the pit, but that's the last thing they need to do to guarantee it. Not sure if Rakan is tanky enough to actually two-man the Baron with anyone, so for now, we have to invest more members, but they start to drop off, push in the wave. Someone's going to have to answer this minion wave in the bot side. And Afreeca Freecs, for now, looking for the catch, but can always fall back to the Baron.
ROX have to be very careful. They know that TusiN is ready and willing to pull the trigger on that grand entrance, lock somebody down in an instant. And that's why he's the one sitting outside the pit here. Mowgli will go in, has the smite, they take it away. TusiN dashes over to safety, and a 3rd Baron of the game goes to the Afreeca Freecs.
To bring up a minion wave, the Baron is unleashed. We'll call this one Shelly. Pushing through the mid lane is Shelly. Working in a control ward. The gank brush, their first thought. They realized that with the top lane pushing as well, the gank brush would be them watching as the game ended with the Winions.
Well, Shelly's looking pretty big.
Being
Firing away.
escorted.
Chain of Corruption comes down, double pop-up goes through. Sangyoon gets chunked down to half HP. Big root in on a SeongHwan. The Devour comes through at the last second there by Kiin to help keep him alive, but Kuro is sticking right on top of him like glue. finishes him off. Flash away from Lindarang, will be able to hold on for the Guardian Angel here for the moment, but 3 inhibitors going to be going down inside the base of the ROX Tigers.
And Shelly's still
Shelly
going.
is still firing away, working it down those Nexus turrets. And I don't think there's anything that ROX can do. 37.5 minutes on the clock. Lindarang will get popped out of the Guardian Angel. Weaver's Wall in desperate times here by Lava to try to save them off, but it's just not going to happen. The Nexus will go down as Afreeca Freecs claim game number 1.
Really clean from the Afreeca Freecs, and now after the loss to MVP, ROX Tigers are staring down a potential 0-4 week. Such a big patch change, feels like a change in the game. And for the side of ROX, they seem underprepared on the first day, and then here a bit muddy. They overthought their final pick on the red side, tried to pick for lane with the Fiora, but didn't really have a plan on how to leverage what Fiora can bring, and Fiora ended up being a burden rather than a benefit for the side of ROX Tigers. So gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Teams like SKT and KSV will see a performance like that and see it as a lifeline, because the playoff race is still not over.
Nope, certainly is not. ROX Tigers, they need to have a turnaround performance in game number 2. Otherwise, other teams going to be licking their lips saying, you know what, that is a juicy target that we can take out and try to climb the standings even further. Afreeca Freecs, though, got to be feeling pretty good, taking that win quite handily, even with Mowgli starting in the jungle. 3rd game of the season, I believe, for this guy, and still looking pretty darn good when it comes down to the Kha'Zix.
I would say he had the lowest influence of any member on the game, but he was clean. He didn't make mistakes, and that is something to compliment a player who's not played a lot. We'll see if they actually do introduce any of the substitutes in game 2. Maybe Kramer will play on Kramer Day, but no enforced changes. This was very much a team victory for the side of Afreeca.
Yeah, overall, very clean from everybody on the side of Afreeca, outside of maybe Aiming's one Feather Storm that he botched there in the mid lane. But he more than made up for it in the bottom side of that 3-man route. But it's ROX Tigers who really have to put their heads together and try to come up with a solution to the problem that they've been presented with. And we're not going to know if they have it until we go through the draft here for game number 2. We'll see if they can take us to game 3, extend the night, or if this is just going to be a double 2-0 day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You took off your mask, now it's like you are some other guy.